Hey guys, so today we're gonna go a bit unfiltered. As you see, my desk is a mess. We just got like 40 watches. I'm trying to finish them all, and we're gonna go get crystals today. And you're gonna see what we're doing in a day at Time Merchants. Everything behind the scenes. A lot of people think that we're just taking a watch from the right hand. Sorry, we're losing a little pin here, and then bring it to the left hand and just selling it. Most of the time, vintage watches need a lot of attention. They need, after 30, 40 years, it's like leaving a car in the yard and not taking care of it. So we do all of that behind the scenes. Even though it looks like a mess, we're just doing the aesthetic part in terms of crystal, verifying the originality of the watches, and it might look like a mess. I know what's what, where it is, but this is what it is. We have to start with one watch. Once we're going to clean part of the watch and the cleaner, I mean the case and everything, we're opening another one and so on and so forth. So I do it basically in a chain. So yeah, let's start the day and you'll see how it goes. So today we're going to be looking at those watches. So I have a 1601, needs a crystal, 16014 needs a crystal as well. As you can see, it's already prepped to have it removed. Then we have here a 69160, I believe, with a 2230 caliber sapphire crystal. We're going to go and order one of those. And then we have a 6623 from 1972-73 as well. And we're going to change the crystal on that as well. So today that's what we're doing. Most of it is just finding the proper replacement crystals for those. Sadly, we cannot get the original ones at the moment. So that's the only part that we always kind of have to go with generic replacements, because they're quite expensive if you're able to find some that are original, but we try to find that stuff that works well. If it doesn't work well, we're not going to put it on, and we're going to wait to find the proper crystal. So many different manufacturers of those. I don't trust about 75-80 of them, 80% of them in terms of quality, so we always try to choose the right ones for what we need. So that's what we're doing part of the day today, and we're gonna walk downtown Montreal and show you the city at the same time. A lot of people are asking me, why do I do this? How did I start? What's the good way of starting a watch business in 2024? I believe we're not really in the right times right now to start a new business if you're really just beginning. So before you do anything, I'd say if you don't do it with a heart, you're just doing it with the idea or the conception of just making money. I've seen a lot of people starting all sorts of different businesses, and when you begin with the idea or the conceptual idea of actually going towards the goal of making money, money should not be a goal. Money should be, and that's what I tell everyone, money is the consequence of doing your job correctly. So if you do your job the way it should be done, or you give a good service, you give a good after service, okay, it's not only that you're selling a watch and then you say bye-bye to your customer and you never see him again. That customer may come back to sell you back a watch, or to sell you back the watch he bought from you. How do you treat that? How do you want to do that kind of a job, okay, if you don't think of the future? So not only are you gonna make money, yes, but you're also gonna create really strong bonds with the people that you're working with, and those bonds may they, in my case, they last for for decades now. I know people that have been in the business, or since I was a kid, I met them, and we're still acquaintances, or we still work together. Now in a professional way. When I was a kid, it wasn't on the same level. So I'd say if you want to start a business into watches, first of all, you gotta know what you're doing. And by knowing means that you gotta do a lot of research, not the YouTube or the TikTok videos. That those don't mean anything. Those are mostly staged or kind of very shallow in terms of information. Okay, so even though I may get hated for that, but even Nico Leonard, I mean, he knows a lot of stuff, but what he presents to most people is very limited. He even admits himself, in his videos that what he's doing is a bit different than Baldessar, for example. And it's a new generation of kind of having really quick returns or quick responses to what their actions are. So they're expecting some kind of money or whatever. But before I really started doing this professionally, maybe I know my first years of sales were way under $50,000. And then it was the second year wasn't even hitting 100,000 in sales when I started doing an online business. So obviously, like, it humbles you to actually, even though now we're way ahead of those numbers, but right now, even with all that work, I feel that I'm still working really hard to actually get to the next level of saying, okay, well, can I take off for like 3 weeks and not care about the business? I can't. Okay, I'm not at that point in my life where I can just say, okay, I'm just stepping away and it's gonna run by itself, because it won't. Okay, and that's what it is. Even after 15 years almost of doing this professionally, I mean, it's still a bit of a struggle in that term where some people have their weekends. I don't have my weekends. I don't have sometimes my nights. I still have to work until 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes, even later most of the times, and wake up at 5, 6, 7 a.m., answer all my emails and everything. So it's not only a one-time thing where you can just sit there and do your business or do your transactions and then you go home like a 9 to 5. This is a 24/7 job. So you got to be extremely committed. You got to know what you're doing, and it's not only about just making money. It's all about relations and creating that bond that's gonna stay there for a long time. So if you don't have those and you don't come in this business with that mentality, you're gonna be like timepiece gentleman, and you're gonna be destroying a lot of the image of what we're doing, because we're not just middlemen. We're also purveyors of information. I'm not gonna give information to anyone and everyone for free, but people that I work with for a long time, if they need something from me or if I need something from them, they're gonna answer me with what the market is on a piece, or if it's good, if it's not, what do you think about the commission, the dial, whatever. Could be anything with vintage. So once you do all that, then you can say, okay, I'm a bit more stable, I'm a bit more solid, and have solid grounds to what I'm doing. But until then, money doesn't mean anything, because you can just disappear overnight if you're doing something really bad or you're messing up your name, and this is what it is. And even today it does happen again that I'm still making mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I never was, so I don't claim to be. And every time you make a mistake, it just humbles you a bit more and tells you, okay, well, even if I've been working so hard, today I can take a step down and look ahead of me and say, okay, well, am I gonna do that better again, or how can I do better next time I'm doing anything that I'm touching. So yeah, it's not something that you can just go in and say, okay, I'm gonna be successful. It's not a game. The watch game term is horrifying me, okay, because this is not a game. This is something of passion. It's something that that's a business. You gotta treat it as such. And if you do like watches, show it to people. You do like watches. Show how you like it, okay? And it doesn't mean that you can't afford, let's say, again, like there are a lot of very expensive watches out there. Doesn't mean that you can't afford them right now as a collector or as a dealer, that you don't have to show a bit of interest. Both ways go around, okay? So if you also have, or you have the chance to actually start by dealing with very high-end watches because you are in a certain let's say circle of people that have a lot of money, you don't have to downgrade and to say that Seikos or other brands are really bad just because they're much cheaper, much more affordable. So it goes both ways. A guy that wears a Seiko might have a huge collection in his, at the bank or in his possession, so, or know a lot about watches. So if you're insulting the person, it's not something that you want to do in this industry, okay? Certain watches are, yes, badly viewed, like Hublot or other brands, and they're obviously overpriced, but it doesn't make them bad watches. It just makes them overpriced watches for what they are at the retail they're at. It doesn't make them anything else but that, okay? The representation of all those watches and everything else is something that we interpret from our point of view, okay? So this is why putting something like Richard Mille on a pedestal is maybe great for certain people, just because they see it in a perfect way, and they don't see it as a let's say as a flash watch. They're gonna see it as a very good accomplishment, and they're not buying the watch for others to see or to brag about. So this whole industry is very deep and runs deep and to the core of every single one of us. And if you're really looking into building something, the building blocks are going to be yourself. And a lot of people are asking me even today, how am I able to just be so cold about certain things, like let's say certain, or the fact that sometimes you're dealing on big deals, or you're helping certain big deals without losing it, or without being impressed by the value of the transactions or anything. And when I say to that, it's only numbers. It's basically mental. It's a state of mind where a dollar, $10, $100,000, or $1,000,000 doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, it's not the money that drives the transaction, it's the people that are behind the transaction that are going to drive that to happen. So if you're looking to do this, don't be impressed by numbers. Numbers don't mean anything at the end of the day if you're not able to function in a proper way, and you're not yourself because you're impressed by the amount of money, or you're impressed by what's going on. So that's why we're trying on our YouTube channel not to talk about value, because value is totally irrelevant. Someone who wants to buy a watch of X amount is going to have the means, and he's going to have the knowledge normally to buy the watch. Also, I don't consider myself a salesman. I'm going to give you all the information about the watch. I'm going to do my due diligence. If I don't know something about a watch, I'll look it up right in front of you. I'll tell you, I don't know. I get so many different watches in a year, and I get so many different questions. I cannot know everything about every single watch. Every single watch might be different, might have a different detail about it in terms of, I don't know, pressure resistance, or I don't know. Another thing that people are asking me all the time is the power reserve of a watch. Some are 40, 35, 70 hours, or even more sometimes. But to know exactly the numbers, I don't know them all by heart. I know generally almost everything that is to be known about the watch, but you have to know your limitations as well. You're not encyclopedic, you cannot be, but if you do know, or you do take the chance or the time to actually be informed about what you're selling, it's very important. So all that said, do your job properly. If you want to start, I'm not a mentor. I'm not gonna create any kind of classes for people to actually learn how to do this business or how to learn this business. It's something that's gonna be personal to each one of you or us who are already doing it. But I want people to actually enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, I think you're gonna be just in the wrong field from the beginning, because your goal is going to be money and your goal is not going to be to actually do your job properly. Because for me, doing my job properly means I'm going to get paid at the end of the day. It's not the money, again, irrelevant. Okay, like I'm going back to this, and that's why it's it's something that we know about now with Google Lens, or just a few clicks, we can know the value more or less of anything in this world. Okay, so a lot of people are just going by that, but if you just go by Chrono24 prices or auction house prices, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that the watch you have on hand is actually worth on the lower end, or not even half of the lower end of those listed prices, because of the condition, because of the box papers, because of the current market that doesn't actually maybe allow us to sell certain watches. So you have to be very up to date with the market. That's why it's not only, you cannot be by yourself in your corner and tell everyone that you know everything, because you don't. You cannot be, and I cannot be like that. I depend on people that help me, and I also have people that depend on me helping them, because we're all working together. Okay, it's not a one-man job. It's a teamwork, and if the team is healthy in terms of relations, and we're healthy in terms of how we work together, and everyone's gonna be down the road very successful. So that's how it is. But if people are just not curious about knowing what they're dealing with, and every single time they're just thinking that they know better, sadly it's not gonna create anything good for anyone around them, just because they're creating more irrational thinking than something that's very, very resourceful, So all that all together, it's very important that you actually think very, very seriously about what you want to do. Don't go by YouTubers or TikTokers or whatever. Go if you want, and go in this business if you want, by the fact that you're gonna be enjoying it first, and you want to really know what you're doing again. Okay, basic stuff. Then you can go into details, and then you're gonna know more and more down the road. Okay, so if you have any questions, just write them down on the video down below, and I'm gonna be able normally to answer a bit of everything. Don't be shy. I'll try and help you out if it comes to that. But again, it's all about your personal experiences, your personal circles, and it's also going to be about your personality. So not everyone is made to do such a job. It does take let's say a good kick in the butt every morning to actually wake up and to be actually functioning every day. You can't just be doing your job once every 6 months and hope that you're gonna be paying all your bills by doing 4 or 5 transactions a month or whatnot. some are maybe able to do it, but I'd say it's a lot of stress, and you gotta be very, very constant in your job. You cannot be running away from the job for a few months and then hopefully come back and think that nothing changed around you. It's a very dynamic market, not only in terms of the money aspect, but also the fact that people appear, disappear, uh, relations can change. People that were actually very devoted to you can actually go somewhere else just because you disappeared on them or whatnot. So it's very important that you keep at it and you do your work correctly. So yeah, I'm just enjoying what I'm doing myself. And as you can tell, like I had to learn. If you look at the live video of this week, I did have to learn how to check every single watch by myself, even though I met, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 watchmakers so far of all sorts of venues, older ones, younger ones who are just starting. Sadly, watchmakers are not authenticators, so even though they know about watches, they do know a lot about the movements. We're more and more subject to fake parts that are more external. Like could be a bezel, could be a dial hands, a crown, or anything. Could be on an AP, on a Rolex, on a Breitling, or an Omega. Let's name those four brands just because they're a bit more common. But if you do deal with watches on a daily basis, you gotta have the ability to actually determine if a watch is real or fake, or if the dial was repainted within just a few minutes, so, or within a few seconds. If you have any doubts, that's when, as I said earlier, having a relation with a bunch of other people around the world that might know better about the watch you're having on hands or that is proposed to you, they're going to be able to actually tell you if that is correct or not. So it's very important that part of the information basics that you can work with, and you can actually count on the people you're working with around you, and those people are, they're making you live and vice versa. So you have to be very respectful, and you can't just take and not give back as well. You give back in the terms of offering watches to people. You can give back in terms of information. You can give back by helping them ease a transaction if they're in your area. So it's a bit political. So there's a bit of politics, like in any relation. It's not only give or take. Our resource of information can be worth a lot more than a few dollars that you might want to make on a transaction. So someone can save your ass, or someone can make you make a lot of money just because they know a lot better about something. So it's every day it's something different. So you might want to say that you know it all. You never will. And the humility in this industry is what counts most. So I've seen people make it or break it in the past 5 years, and it makes me sad when someone that doesn't do well, but at the same time, maybe the person was not equipped with the proper tools, to succeed, or sometimes it's just bad luck, So anyway, guys, I wish you luck. As well, if you have any questions, again, you can write down in the comments, and or write to me directly on the website, and I'm gonna try to respond as soon as possible. Enjoy your week, and see you soon. Take care.